What the fuck going, man? We're back with another reaction video. Let me tell y'all, bro. Y'all just don't know. Like, I did a whole video reacting to Lil Baby album they just dropped. I edited, mind you, twin. Like, that shit took so long for me to edit. Like, bro, that shit took like, I ain't gonna lie, I could have got it done in like a day or two, but that shit ended up being like 3-4 days work. Like, that shit, a whole lot of little extra shit going on, bro. Then I posted shit, they goddamn blocked my shit, so I can't upload. I'm still trying to get it done, but that shit blew me, bro. Like, I just don't know, but fuck that shit. We on to the next video. We finna watch the crazy teen who killed and stuffed her mom in a suitcase for some money. Fuck. I seen this shit. I'm just gonna go now. I just wanted to watch it, so let's tap in and see what the hell this shit talking about.
Jelon in the jail. First, I asked Tommy Schaefer to help me find somebody to kill my mom for $50,000. And he said no. After that, I got this whole new savage idea in my head that I wanted to kill her in a hotel room. I don't mind. The one I don't like is the blonde one. Her. I can't stand her. She's rude.
When Tommy Schaefer entered Sheila's room at the St. Regis Resort in Bali, Sheila was falling asleep. Her daughter had just given her a handful of sleeping pills. Sheila was conscious, but unable to scream for help or even ask what was happening. She just knew it was no good. Heather had not been the perfect daughter lately. As Heather watched calmly, Tommy picked up a fruit bowl and hit Sheila over the head,
Time out, bro. You know. Hold on.
For help or even ask what was happening. She just knew it was no good. Heather had not been the perfect daughter lately. As Heather watched calmly, Tommy picked up a fruit bowl and hit Sheila over the head over and over again. Sheila fell to the floor hopelessly, but Heather and her boyfriend beat her to death. Then they dismembered her body and stuffed her into a suitcase. Surveillance footage caught them struggling with it as they lifted it into a taxi. You can imagine how the taxi driver felt when he saw blood oozing out of the suitcase. When he rang the Indonesian authorities, he began an outrageous investigation that would put a pregnant 19-year-old heiress in prison for just 7 years. Why did Heather decide to take her mother's life? Were there
how the hell she get some years she just killed her mama? Fuck.
Before this happened, and what happened after her release from Indonesian prison? This is the full harrowing story of Heather Mack and Sheila Von Wies. In August 2014, Heather Mack, Sheila Von Wies, and Tommy Schaefer flew business class from Chicago to Bali, Indonesia. One ticket cost over $10,000, but that's besides the point. Heather and Sheila could afford it, and they really wanted to repair their mother-daughter relationship. Things had escalated in a bad way over the—
See, bro, all these folk that be wanting to kill their parents, they be rich, bro. Y'all ever seen the little shit with the Menendez brothers who killed their parents and shit? Them folk were rich as hell, like. Fuck, yeah.
8 years. Heather had lost her dad when she was yet to turn 11, and ever since, Sheila hardly recognized her as a loving daughter. She was closer to a monster, but now she was slowly turning into a young adult. In a few months, she would turn 19. She had a boyfriend, Michael Schaefer, and with a little luck, she would turn her life around and work toward a career. Sheila, as always, wanted to give her daughter the chance to redeem herself, and Sheila worked hard at maintaining a happy, patient face while her daughter was going through her moments. She'd never given up hope. The Bali trip was going to be the moment everything changed for the better, and the two of them became friends again. Except Sheila had always turned a blind eye to the red flags piling up around her daughter. Perhaps she didn't want to believe Heather was capable of doing such a thing. Or perhaps she think her daughter could off her mom. On August 14th, Sheila and Heather checked into their room at the St. Regis Hotel in Nusa Dua, Bali. But here's the thing. Sheila did not know that Tommy was coming to Bali Bali too. Heather booked a room and even a plane ticket for her boyfriend with her mom's credit card behind her back. Her deceit had already started on this trip that Sheila put so much energy into. Needless to say, when she found out, Sheila was upset. Once again, Heather was doing the opposite of what she was told. Sheila did not have the energy to talk to her daughter that day, so she stormed off and enjoyed the...
See, like, look, bro, it be folks out here doing shit like this, but I used to get my ass whooped for not taking the trash out and shit. Like, these folks be out here doing crazy ass shit, bro. I used to get my ass whooped because my bed wasn't made up and shit, man. She need her ass whooped.
Of the afternoon on her own around the resort's many facilities. That evening, she returned to her room knowing that her daughter was there, but there wasn't much of a conversation. Heather offered her mom a glass of water, and Sheila fell into a deep, drowsy state on the couch. Before Heather and her boyfriend Tommy took her life, though, Sheila had the strength to scream one last thing.
She just went nuts, and she was just screaming and screaming and telling me that was when I was gonna die, that was when I was gonna die.
But Sheila was the only one who would die that night. Heather and her boyfriend kicked and beat her until she wasn't breathing anymore. Then they used a handsaw to turn her body into little pieces and stuff it into a giant suitcase. The pair did not get into a cab that night. They just left the suitcase in the trunk of a taxi and fled. Worried, the driver looked at the suitcase. He felt one of those terrible knots in his stomach where he saw the suitcase was literally covered in blood. It was still oozing out of it, into his trunk. So he drove as fast as he could to the nearest law enforcement station. Within an hour, the body in the suitcase was identified as Sheila Ann Von Weiss, and her killers were identified as her daughter, Heather Mack, and her boyfriend, Tommy Schaefer. The authorities had their names, photos, and ages, all from their hotel reception. By the end of the day, they were found at a budget motel less than a mile away from the St. Regis Resort. They were immediately arrested, and their walk of shame through an Indonesian jail made its way to every news outlet in the country. But this young couple didn't confess. Heather in particular put on a great show. She said she was in great distress. An armed gang had just attacked the three of them, and her mother had been unalived. She and Tommy had barely escaped with their lives. That's why they had to run to a motel. Sure. But why not run to a police station? Just saying. And when the detectives traced their cell phones, they unveiled a digital trail leading to Sheila's last moments alive. Heather and Tommy had meticulously planned Sheila's slaying. They were charged with first-degree murder, and the complicated backstory of Heather and Sheila was slowly unfurling. Heather Mack was born in 1990.
So how the hell she get some years? Like, ain't no way, man.
Into jazz royalty. Her dad, James Mack, was a famous musician and composer who shifted the all-encompassing jazz genre toward his own style ever since the 1950s. That's right, James Mack was born in 1929, so he was well into his 60s when he had his daughter. Heather's mom, on the other hand, was born in 1952. Sheila Ann Von...
What? Whoa. 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 Whoa, go back. Whoa. Hold on.
was slowly unfurling.
My math ain't mathing. Hold on, gang.
Heather Mack was born in 1995 into jazz royalty. Her dad, James Mack, was a famous musician and composer who shifted the all-encompassing jazz genre toward his own style ever since the 1950s. That's right, James Mack was born in 1929, so he was well into his 60s when he had his daughter. Heather's mom, on the other hand, was born in 1952.
But these folks 30 years apart. These folks is 30 years apart, gang.
Ann Von Weiss was an academic socialite. By the time Heather was born, she was also retired and very financially stable. So Heather got all the attention and financial support she could have gotten growing up.
She grew up in a very nice house, and she had, from all accounts, a privileged upbringing.
And according to Sheila's sister, Heather was also pampered with care and affection.
Of course, they doted on her. She was a precious little baby girl and my sister's first, only child. She felt so blessed and lucky, and it was a really wonderful family.
Heather's dad, Jim, Heather was his princess. And
this little baby girl. Yeah,
He just loved her. I mean, they both did.
But Jim's old age caught up with him in a series of unfortunate incidents that would scar little Heather forever. In 2001, when she was 6 and he was 72, the family was on a Royal Caribbean.
What the fuck? I'm 6 years old with a 72-year-old father gang. I would have been booked on my pops. God, like, who Pop could tell me shit.
Mediterranean cruise when Jim suffered a foot injury. After inadequate treatment from the ship doctor, Jim became partially paralyzed. He filed a lawsuit against Royal Caribbean, but it took several years to reach a settlement, during which his health never recovered. A few years later, Jim was diagnosed with colon cancer, and during a holiday in Greece in 2006, he died in his hotel room following a pulmonary embolism. 11-year-old Heather was left with her mom, Sheila. From the outside, things looked okay. Plus, when people look at a family, they're tempted to judge their happiness by their financial state. And when you take a quick look at their $1.5 million mansion in Chicago's Frank Lloyd Wright neighborhood, it was not hard to think these two were doing all right. Except money never has anything to do with happiness, as countless studies and experts keep confirming. And after Jim died, Heather's relationship with Sheila took a turn for the worse. Much worse.
I thought that Heather, after her father died, began to slowly see her mom as a bit of a competitor for attention.
Many kids start acting out during their teenage years, but Heather was something else. She was defiant toward any type of authority, to the point that she showed signs of oppositional defiant disorder. That is a really short temper, blaming others for her own misbehaviors, refusing to follow orders, annoying people just to get a reaction, and pretty much doing the exact opposite of everything she was told.
Sheila and I had many, many talks, and I said, there's a reason the term troubled teen is out there.
In middle school, Heather was already skipping school. Then came hanging out with the wrong crowds, illegal substances, violence, and theft. Theft? With Heather's money? Yeah, she was stealing from her own mom.
Well, she told me that she was being abused by Heather. I mean, she was constantly being attacked physically, and Heather had an explosive temper.
Usually, it's the father of the family being abusive toward the wife or children, but in this case, it was petite Heather against her mom. And despite her small size, she could inflict a lot of harm and fear. Sheila lived in a constant state of fear.
Bro, this is some crazy shit, bro. Like, what the fuck?
January 2010, for example, Heather was 14 when she punched Sheila's already broken ankle. In February of the following year, she broke Sheila's arm and then removed the phone cord to prevent her from calling 911. And in November 2012, she hit her mom so hard she left a bruise. This was the stuff of nightmares. Imagine living with this under your roof.
She would bite Sheila. She would her, and it was
to the point of she was sustaining serious injury.
But here's the thing. Although Sheila would phone authorities, at least when her daughter wasn't cutting phone cords, she wouldn't go through with the charges.
And she wouldn't press charges. I mean, it's a really hard thing to
Shit, me. She should have got her up out of there.
When it's your own child. I would
fuck that, man. Get
talk to her about, you've got to start treating your mom with respect. You've got to start going to school. You can't, you can't do this anymore, Heather.
Sheila's sister, Debbie, was not the only one who saw this, but she was the only one who raised the alarm bells over and over again. She would tell her husband she was worried for Sheila's life and constantly talked to Heather, urging her to calm down. Heather's personality never really changed, but the adults around her kept their hopes up. After all, many teenagers are unnecessarily rebellious, and their parents give them all the freedom, care, and support that they need. Sadly, none of the adults in Heather's life realized that she was a lost cause, or at least a person they had to stay away from. And this would come at a great cost.
So what made her kill her mom?
When Heather was 18, she started dating a boy named Tommy Schaefer. He was 2 years older and also came from a single-parent household.
He did have a tight group of friends from middle school on, but that group started to distance themselves from Tommy because he started to tell tall tales and he liked to exaggerate the truth.
If Tommy's own friends disliked his compulsive lying, imagine how Sheila felt about her daughter dating this dude.
She hated him. She thought he was a bad influence.
So it's safe to assume Sheila's world crumbled when Heather brought him along to Bali on her stolen credit card. And it would get worse than that. Heather proudly told her mom she was pregnant with Tommy. This meant two things for Sheila. First, there goes her daughter's chance at a college degree and a respectable career. Or at least there would be a significant delay to it. But Heather never seemed motivated by that idea in the first place. Second, she would father a child to a young man Sheila despised. A compulsive liar with a similarly short temper and a bad crowd was not going to be a good dad. Sheila knew. Sheila and Heather fought through the night about this. There was no resolution. Heather was not going to end the pregnancy, and Sheila did not know what to do with her daughter. She didn't want her stealing from her anymore. She didn't want any more DV from her, and she sure as day did not want Heather to have this baby, only to show it the same kind of abuse. But Sheila did not know that her fight was in vain. That night, she would lose her life to Heather and her boyfriend. Less than 24 hours later, Indonesian authorities began uncovering the nasty texts between Heather and Tommy, sent over the previous months. Sheila's demise had been planned down to every detail, except the plan wasn't very bright, not the killer's. This is what Tommy wrote to one of his friends 6 months before his trip to Bali. So that bitch Heather is crazy, huh? She asked me to do something really insane. She asked me to find someone to kill her mom for $50K. And when Tommy couldn't find a paid assassin, the teen couple resorted to unaliving Sheila themselves. This is what Tommy wrote to Heather.
Two dumbasses. Like, what the hell? Y'all nigga dumb. This is some dumb shit. Like, what the hell? Tripping.
Before Bali. Does she swim? Plus a bunch of emojis suggesting that they drown her. How did these two think that they wouldn't get caught? Also, Tommy must have been a really loving boyfriend, calling Heather the B word while talking about her with a friend. And the loving couple continued planning Sheila's slaying via texts while they were in Bali. Yeah, they didn't even meet face to face to hash out the most horrible details.
Heather and Tommy were text messaging back and forth after Sheila and Heather had gone back to their suite.
In one text, Heather wrote that she would try to unalive her mother with her own hands. This followed. Tommy, try your best. Can you whack her in the head with a big-ass bowl? Heather, can you? Tommy, yes. Come in the hallway right now. This is Tommy with a fruit bowl hidden in his shirt seconds before he entered Sheila's room. Tommy hid in the bathroom while Sheila was slowly falling into a deep, sleeping pill-induced sleep. Meanwhile, he and Heather were still texting. Among their last texts was an attempt to make Sheila look like she was drunk when she slipped and fell, hitting her head. But then, a simple question. Why did they beat her to death and dismember her body? Yeah. Heather and Tommy were not the smartest killers out there.
Dummy hell, man.
If taking Sheila's life wasn't disgusting enough, watch Heather's attitude following her arrest.
They thought he was gonna...
She enjoyed the attention, and while Sheila's family was in shambles, she showed zero remorse. Their hearing was straightforward. With so much evidence against them, Tommy and Heather could not talk their way out of this. However, their sentences were more lenient than those that they would have received in the US. Tommy was sentenced to 18 years behind bars, while Heather received only a decade. According to her attorney, Heather did show remorse once she was off camera.
We're asking her, don't you feel sorry for your mom that she already gone? Yeah, I did. And she's crying at the time.
But from the Indonesian prison, she continued to joke with the guards, ask for interviews, and...
So, just because they're in another country, the country only gave these folk 18 years or 10 years? Boy, y'all should have got the motherfucking chair, bro. The fuck? True.
Videos on her social media. Yep, she was allowed a smartphone inside prison.
Jalan in the jail.
She also spoke very openly about her plan to unalive her mother.
First, I asked Tommy Schaefer to help me find somebody to kill my mom for $50,000. And he said no. After that, I got this whole new savage idea in my head that I wanted to kill her in a hotel room.
Yeah. Heather claims that she believes her mom unalived her dad all those years back in Greece. It's unclear whether she believed that since she was 10 going on 11, or if this is something she concocted after she took her life. A sort of excuse of doing what she did. Except no one thinks that's an excuse for taking a life, especially your own mother's. Plus, her dad was in his 70s and suffering from a slew of devastating illnesses. Simply, no one is buying her justification. Heather also gave birth in prison to a daughter. Here she is cradling her and trash talking a fellow inmate.
I don't mind the one I don't like is the blonde one. Her. I can't stand her. She's rude.
Heather was allowed to raise her daughter in prison, to the shock of her family back in Chicago. They would have preferred the little girl to have a more normal, safer life with them. In 2021, Heather was released from prison for good behavior. She had served just under 7 years. But she was not free yet. As soon as she landed in the US, she was handcuffed and taken in by the FBI. In the summer of 2023, she pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder. She will be serving 26 years in a Chicago prison. Tommy is still serving his sentence in Indonesia, potentially facing a life imprisonment sentence once he steps back on US soil. These two got a reality check as soon as the deed was done. It's heartbreaking that they thought they could take an innocent life without consequence. Perhaps Heather's privileged background led her to believe that she could get away with murder. It's also heartbreaking that she showed little remorse afterward, and that she tried to pin her crime on her mother. Remember how people suffering from oppositional defiant disorder tend to blame others for their own misbehaviors? Yeah. Maybe Heather was never diagnosed. Maybe she needed therapy or pills. Maybe her misbehaviors were cries for help. But this is just speculation. Her poor family was at its wit's end for years, and nothing could have prepared them for Heather's last violent act. Thankfully, it will be a long time before she's out on the streets again. Let's just hope she and Tommy can be rehabilitated and that Sheila's family are able to live a normal, happy life outside the haunting summer of 2014. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Let me know what you think about this case in a comment down below.
Bro, what the fuck did I just watch, bro? What the fuck? I did not think this was how it gonna be, but they always be trying to say, like, if you something mentally wrong, these folks be knowing what the hell they be doing, man. That shit lame. Fuck. Now, what about the baby? Like, what the baby gonna do? Now the baby got 2 dumbass parents. Her daddy in Indonesia and her goddamn mama doing 26 years. Like, look though, man. Yeah, I'm all mad about that little baby video, bro. That shit, I just don't know. But like, comment, subscribe, bro. For real, bro. Please, bro. I'm talking about please. I'm just playing. For real though, subscribe, bro. This shit free. You feel me? So, it's Kai, bro. I'm gonna fuck with y'all on the next one. You feel me? Man.